So a pivotal game 4 was delayed by 1 day due to rain, and you were planning on going to that game that was delayed, and you ended up getting tickets. You were able to go to the rain delayed game.
Yeah, I mean, real quick,
Yeah,
I
what's that
was
story?
well, it's pretty awesome. I'm on the
How'd you get
train.
tickets?
I'm well, Robin's vendor. Robin, she does all the travel for her company. That's part of her job. Well, it just so happens that the travel vendor they use is the same travel vendor for the White Sox.
Nice.
So they knew she was a big fan, and they said, "We got 2 tickets in 145 row 14, seats 5 and 6. Come on down."
I mean, if
So
we had income, if we made any money off of this, we'd have to put her on salary. I mean, she was the one that got the Grand Slam can pickup.
that's
She's
true.
lining
That's
us up with
true.
everything. So
I know.
thank you, Robin. You're a winner. You're a
So
champ.
on my way down, I get the alert that the game has been canceled,
Uh,
or postponed. Postponed
you
till.
had an idea though. The
Well,
weather looked pretty shitty.
I
The
kept
forecast
looking.
did.
I tell you what, Ron. I kept looking at Doppler radar, and it was not looking good. But there might be a window there at 4 o'clock, so
Mm.
I thought maybe they'll get it in. But that was not the case, and it didn't really matter. I was going to see Ryan's favorite band that night, Japanese Breakfast, so I had to go into the city anyway. Um,
I've never heard anything about
so,
Japanese breakfast, but
so
from you.
it wasn't a total loss, just that I then had to go back to my boss and say, "Hey, guess what just happened?"
Did your boss already know what was going on?
No, not yet.
Oh
And
no.
they were fine with it, thankfully.
Boy, that is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Shout out to those guys. Where do you work
shout
again?
out to Ike Sports.
Yeah.
Oof. So we headed to the ballpark very early just because we couldn't wait to get there. Right. This is game 4, and I knew what was going to happen before the game, even before not the loss, but I knew what Dusty was doing before it was announced.
Aha.
The minute the pitchers changed, the minute the game changed, I apologize. The minute the game changed back a day, I knew McCullers Jr. was pitching, and here's why.
He would be on normal rest, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, it was 4 days rest. He has pitched on 4 days rest multiple times this year, has not skipped a beat. His
Mhm.
ERA, his numbers are marginal. Same thing about him home and away. His numbers are nearly identical.
Yeah.
This is the reason he did it, because I can't even pronounce the pitchers, or Kitty, or I
Don't
can't even
ask me.
pronounce the Houston's pitcher's name who was supposed to
That was a good
pitch.
effort though. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
His splits were horrendous.
Oh.
This is some of the stuff I had talked
Home
about
road?
too. Yeah, home road. His ERA was 2 runs higher on the road. So they could have used him in game 5 back at home, because his home ERA was 2.65.
Mm.
He had, you can look at everything in splits. It's crazy. He was 4.75 ERA during the day on grass, which is exactly what was about to happen. So there's no, we were joking around, Dusty's panicking or whatever. It was just really smart.
It just makes sense.
It just makes
sense.
It
was a no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer. McCullers has owned the Sox in 3 games now, 2 in the regular, 1 in the postseason. He pitched fine in both parks in the regular season. There's no reason not to pitch him. Get it done in 4 games. Get a couple extra days of rest if you can.
So in a way that rainout actually worked in Houston's favor.
Yeah, it totally worked in Houston's favor.
The other factor in that is just the massive momentum you had coming off Sunday night was kind of mitigated by that extra day. So I'm wondering, I was thinking immediately that the rainout somehow helped you guys, but I think in the long run, it certainly helped. It certainly in those 2 ways, big ways, I think helped Houston. So
yeah, I think it did too.
It gave Rodon an extra day, but he'd already had 10 days off, hadn't he?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, back to Rodon, the pitch that got him knocked out of the game, he just was you got a professional fucking hitter at the plate, Correa, who guessed that he was going to
Carlos
try
Correa,
yeah,
future Detroit Tiger.
fine. He's going to get that he was going to try to get a high fastball by him. The pitch wasn't.
They weren't respecting his slider at all.
Yeah, and the deal was the pitch was very high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like swinging up around his face.
He is. Correa went up and got it. Now, I didn't get to see that till the replay, and the way it was made to sound was that, he hung a fastball. That was not a hung fastball at all. I thought I thought La Russa TLR, he pulled it way too early on Rodon and brought in who was previously unavailable, Kopech, to come in and pitch, would have been announced before the game.
I forget how many pitches he had in game 3, but he had a day off, so
like 50 or so.
Yeah, but he had a day in between.
No, so. I know. He was very ineffective. Crochet came in and calmed things down for a moment. He had another great postseason. He had no runs scored against him the entire postseason, and I think he had one or no runs scored against him in his first postseason last year. So
prior to Game 4, I thought he gave up a run in the 4th.
It must have been charged to someone else. His ERA 0 for the series. Okay. Yeah,
it could have been. I wonder if that went on Kopech's.
Yeah, maybe. So
because he definitely gave up a run, but it wasn't his earned.
Yeah. So you needed some length out of your starter that game. Obviously. And it was 2-1. I mean, it seemed, again, it was like Renteria panic in the Game 3. And unless the plan was all along that once Rodon got around 60-some pitches, he wasn't going to be able to stay in the game.
Well, I texted you before that. I think he's damaged. I think it's clear. He was getting as much as he could in this last start, potentially, of his White Sox career. I mean, he was throwing 100 or close to 100. He got back up to 99 for the first time since early in the season. So he was giving it all. And I think he was, and I think the whole White Sox philosophy is, hopefully we can get 3 innings out of him. And they couldn't quite get that. But he essentially, there's a few things that happened. Like, he wasn't willing to throw his slider, for a few reasons. I don't know if it wasn't very good. His fastball was certainly effective, but I don't think he was confident that Grandal was going to be able to stop a ball in the dirt. It was part of the issue. So he was scared to throw it almost. And the ASStros hitters talked about it after the game. They were not looking for anything but fastballs off him. That's definitely what Correa did. Just laced that one. It was so high, and he just knew it was going to be a fastball, and he just laced it into left field in the corner. So that's what changed the game right there. That's what led everything into motion. But I'm not sure that Tony panicked at that moment. I think that was by design. They were going to get him out early no matter what. But, I could be wrong. Maybe he did. But it seemed like going into that start that Rodon was not going to be in there for very long.
Which was sort of the whole reason he was saving Kopech.
Yeah.
And kind of Dylan Cease fucked that whole thing up by going an inning and 2/3. So
yeah. Well, that's one of the stories of the series. Your starting pitching. You guys had.
I think that's 12
and a third innings out of your starters. You're averaging 3 innings a game.
Atrocious. Yeah. I mean, I was worried about the Lance Lynn start, and it went exactly as how I thought it would go.
Giolito was shocking. That I thought he'd go. Not that it was an awful start. It just wasn't great. And
it was walks. I mean, walks got all of our guys. I mean,
you sound like White Sox Dave right there. So you had decent weather at least. That was not much of a game after the.
Let me talk about some good things.
Okay.
One, again, the excitement, like pregame. Yeah. Our seats end up being right where Ozzie, Benetti, and Garfine are doing the pregame. So I think I sent you that picture. They're on the field doing the pregame. We walked down to go watch them and listen to them
I didn't get
for
that
a little
picture.
bit. Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, the cell service was terrible there. Ever since US Cellular dropped it, there's no good cell service there anymore.
Shit.
But the mortgage rates are great from that field. Anyway, so there's that. And then, the game starts and the energy was just I mean, the crowd was
They
nuts.
look cool, yeah.
It was
It didn't
crazy
seem
again.
quite. I think the blackout is more effective at night, or you can do the crazy
Yeah.
shit with the LED
Yeah,
lights.
right,
So
exactly.
it was definitely it definitely looked cool on TV on Tuesday, but it was not like Sunday night. There's just I mean, like I said, I haven't seen a game quite like that Sunday, so it'd be hard to replicate that during the day.
Yeah, and then like you were saying, like freaking Rodon's first inning, just electric, and like
Yeah.
everyone's going nuts when he throws the high heat at 99 and gets the strikeout on Bregman. I mean, it was fucking nuts. Like people were like, well, I never sat down. It was like
Nice.
it was like a concert, right? You just didn't sit down, and then we end up in the second jumping in the early 1-0 lead with Gavin Sheets, getting that ball over the center field wall, and then an Eloy Jimenez type
Mm.
injury occurs for the Houston center fielder, the rookie.
Yeah, I thought he did the exact same thing, like pulled a peck or something, kind of hanging on the wall trying to get that. But
Yeah, and at least that ball was catchable,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
and it
wasn't
wasn't
spring, it
preseason.
wasn't spring training.
Oh my
But
god.
I anyway, so
Great moments in
that
2021 Sox
so
history. We'll
like
do that next week.
yeah, right. Moment, boom, like wow, momentum is still on our side.
Yeah.
We got to McCullers already. We didn't even get to him at all in that first game.
Yep.
And that was kind of where
That was it.
it was it.
And
As
even after that, McCullers had to leave fairly early
he
with
left in the fourth inning.
he had tightness in his right forearm, and now he is out for the ALCS,
Oh,
which
I didn't
is
see that.
that just came out today. So I mean, forearm tightness, that immediately says elbow to me, and that says Tommy John, which is
Ooh.
just brutal. I mean, if he's out for the ALCS, it's serious. So
Yeah.
I think you can write that up for McCullers. So don't pick him in your fantasy team next year.
Thanks for that tip.
Yeah. Why am I giving you tips on this? But
But and kind of like this is kind of how it went all series long for the most part. Like we would score, Houston would score right back. Depending on the game, we might score again the next inning. But pretty much Houston scored those 2 runs, and then Kopech came in, and suddenly it was like 5-1, right?
yeah,
And
that was pretty much it.
it was like really like a slow death in the ballpark.
If you could tell on TV that, like they say, like a pin in a balloon, the energy just sapped out of the crowd. It's almost like you guys blew your load too soon or something, just like Rodon. Like it was too much too soon. Just like Cease, actually, he was throwing 100 in his first inning and
Yeah,
couldn't sustain it. But
right.
and then their relievers came in and just shut you down. It was like, ugh. It was actually kind of a painful broadcast because, like I mentioned, Wainwright, this is his first broadcast, second game, I guess, but they were trying to help him along. There just wasn't a whole lot to talk about. They were talking about the Art Institute. They were talking about all the great. He was trying to talk about art history at some point, about all the great art he saw at the Art Institute. Got a little long winded for a while there, but they were trying to hold it together. They're talking about the cloud gate, the big mirror bean that everyone likes to talk about in Chicago. That's where we got to eventually in that broadcast, which was pretty sad for a playoff game. So